What's good, guys? First thing I want to say is this may be my last video for a little while. I don't really see any upcoming releases that have sparked my interest too much, and I've got an accelerated trial course coming up this next week that goes for 2 weeks straight all day, so I'm not going to really have too much free time, and I think it's just time for me to take a little step back, kind of observe everything else that's going on. But the main purpose of this video is to respond to J-Star's video as well as DJ Hess's video, and I want to say that DJ Hess actually touched on a ton of points that I completely agree with, and actually in the chat that Bionic Souls, formerly CDNY, hosted last weekend, I basically brought up the majority of the points DJ Hess stated in his video in response to the change in the sneaker game, etc. And the first thing that I want to point out is something that DJ Hess brought up, which is the YouTube community as it relates to the sneaker world is minuscule. While it may seem like there's a lot of sneakerheads on YouTube, it really is a much smaller number than most people would think. For example, I went to one of the last, I want to say the Cav 4 releases, the Cav 4 release. There were several kids in line, probably early 20s, and they have started this group on YouTube, or on Facebook, I should say, called Crean. K.R.E.A.M. And basically it's essentially like a Craigslist for sneakers for the Chicago community. And the page has gotten up to almost, I want to say, more than 7,000 members. A ton of people know about it, but all the admin, they've got like 6 or 7 admin. Basically none of them knew any of the big guys on YouTube. None of them really knew J-Star, Jumpman Bostic. I want to say the only guy that a few of them knew was Franelations. So that should tell you something. I mean, they didn't know, basically, I named probably 5 or 6 big guys on YouTube, and they had no clue who any of them were. So, and this was like probably 7 or 8 people in the camp out towards the front of the line, and the majority of the guys, I can assume, didn't know much either. But like Hess said, it's kind of short-sighted to think that these discussion videos, etc., are going to spark some giant change across the entire sneaker community. But also from the other perspective, you don't want to say, well, let's not do anything about it. I think voicing your opinion is good, and if it can spark even a little bit of change, that's definitely a positive thing. Now, another interesting thing about changing the sneaker game is how the economics works. Now, I actually studied economics a pretty large amount in college and undergrad at U of I, and the more I've thought about the whole sneaker culture, the more I think it's not simple supply and demand economics. And I've actually thought about going to either like the University of Chicago or Northwestern, etc., and interviewing some economics professors about this issue, because, for example, DJ Hess brought up the point of having early releases, maybe at a slightly higher price. That way everybody that wants the kicks can get the kicks. They know how to gauge the numbers. But the issue I see with that is that when you start doing that, everybody that wants a shoe is going to get the shoe. And if they continue to put out the shoes at the rate that they are, then that means that people are going to be losing the money on that last shoe, which they may not have spent because the shoes were so limited. So as opposed to getting, like, for a lot of people, they can only get 1 out of every 4 or 5 releases. And this is like a perfect scenario for Nike, because they can continue to put out releases basically every week, big releases, and they know not everyone's going to get them, so that just leaves the person that didn't get the last release wanting more. And to me, this is like genius marketing, but it's also something that a lot of people are like, oh, I'm missing out on all these shoes. And I've had different thoughts, but as this culture and game has developed, I've rethought a lot of things that I may have thought in the past. And the fact is, really, if Nike did make the shoe available to everyone that wanted the shoe, as every release happened, people would stop wanting the next release. I know that for sure that I couldn't afford every single release. I don't know if these high school kids with parents that are buying all their shoes can, but even for them, I think it would be too much. I know that as it stands right now, Nike is selling out basically all these weekend releases that are hot releases. They're selling out of. And I saw Gentry Humphreys, I believe is his name, speak, and I saw several videos with Tinker Hatfield, and they said the biggest thing at Nike to indicate you're a success is if you do a 100% sellout rate of a shoe. And I want to say before the Concords, he said something like it was like less than a handful of shoes. It was a very minute number of shoe releases had done the 100% sellout. And as of the past year, I think they've been at least coming close to all these big releases like the KD scoring title, etc., etc. And I think, as opposed to hating on the next guy, like DJ Hess said, you need to reevaluate your own thoughts on the game or the culture, because I think, and J-Star and I talked about this a little bit in the Twitter release date video, it's like everybody wants the Yeezy, but as soon as they don't get it, they hate that shoe. Like that is a problem with the individual consumer. That's not a problem with the culture of the game. That's just someone being jealous, and I felt the same way when the Big Bang release came out. That's like my most viewed sneaker related video, and I was absolutely pissed that I didn't get the shoe. I thought it was a mess. I was mad that they didn't make enough shoes, but looking back on it, it's like that was a personal problem with me. Like, at the end of the day, I could have gotten there before everybody else, camped before everybody else. There's always an excuse, I guess you could say. So, at the end of the day, one of my solutions is each individual needs to reevaluate how they look at the sneaker community. Now, DJ has tied it into other collectibles, etc., and I think he made some good points, because I collected basketball cards most of my life, up until probably 4 or 5 years ago. And there was a point when cards were just mass-produced, etc., and then they switched to serial number cards, like 1 of 10, 1 of 25, and they started doing patch, I don't know how to explain it to someone that doesn't collect cards, but they take a piece of the person's jersey and put it on a card. And if you get like a number or the NBA logo or something, that's called like a patch card. And autographs, etc. And when autographs and serial numbered cards, etc. started taking off, it became harder and harder to get cards. They started becoming more expensive. So instead of going along with the masses, I should say, what I did was I reevaluated my collection. I started collecting the 50 greatest players. I started collecting only Illinois basketball players. So Darren, Luther, D. Brown. I started collecting, when I say 50 greatest, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. But a lot of the older guys like Elgin Baylor, Jerry Lucas, people weren't collecting those cards because it was always the rookie card that was the hot card. So John Wall rookie autograph comes out. That's the hot card. So a lot of people sleep on the Elgin Baylor autograph, the Jerry West autograph, the John Havlicek autograph. So it's one of those things. You can get steals at the time, and then you look back at some of these guys that had $200 rookie cards, autographed rookie cards, that are worth $5 now because the player ended up turning out to be crappy. But everybody was buying into the hype. Prime example, Darius Miles. When he was a rookie, a card came out. It was an SPX autographed jersey card. The card was worth like $500 when it first came out. Now I guarantee you go on eBay, you can get that card for probably $5 to $10. And that was one of the most popular cards at the time. That's kind of how I see the sneaker game right now, is all these releases when they first come out, everybody's like, oh my god, hype, hype, gotta get the shoe. But then, at least my prediction anyway, is 5-6 years down the road, shoes like the KD scoring title, people will be like, oh yeah, I'll give you $100 for that. I'll give you $90 for that. That's just my personal opinion. I think there are some shoes that will stay. Some of the bigger guys, LeBron, like especially since this was the year he won the championship, I can see some of those things staying. But they're making so many more shoes than they did back in the day. Back in the day, it used to be maybe 4 or 5 colorways per shoe. Now they're doing up to 20, 30 different colors, even more than that per shoe. Now, at the end of the day, I'm not going to let Nike control me, which I feel a lot of people are allowing them to do. And I feel like I almost kind of bought into this in the beginning. After the Concords, I started getting more back into shoes considerably. I mean, the previous 2 years I had gotten the Space Jams, the Flint 13s, the Cool Grays, etc. But like once the Concords came out, Nike started doing a real good job of bringing all these new ideas that I hadn't previously seen in the sneaker game. Like, for example, the Big Bangs, the Galaxies. All this stuff Nike had not really done, at least in my perspective, since I've been alive. And I'm 25. I turned 25 in a week. So, to me, they've done a good job of marketing and producing more rapidly, but limiting the numbers, and it keeps people continually wanting more because they're missing out. So basically, they've got the perfect recipe right now, and the only way to stop it is to limit the purchasing, which, in my opinion, it's not going to happen soon, and it's not going to happen because of anything I say or any other person says in the near future. And just touching on, this is kind of off topic, but just touching on the whole stabbing, murdering thing, that's something that's been happening since the 80s. I mean, it's well documented. You can go every few years, there's a shoe-related injury, stabbing, death. And that, like a lot of people have said, that's more of a societal issue. I think the main problem we have with the sneaker culture has nothing to do with sneakers. And I think that's the problem that we need to start figuring out. It is culturally based. And a lot of people, I think, make good observations when they say guys will have a $10,000 catalog at Kicks, a $50,000 car, and then go home to an apartment that's $300 a month, broke down, living in poor neighborhoods. Like, to me, that's where the problem lies. People need to stop being so superficial, essentially. I mean, I think that everybody likes having nice things, but at the end of the day, you're not taking these things with you when you die. I think it's better to build relationships with other people. I think our purpose on this earth is to help one another out. That's why I really appreciate a lot of the guys on YouTube, Hess, Jumpman Bostic, especially JStar25. he reached out to me. He allowed me to do an interview with him first, and then he reached out to me to do a collaboration video, and he's been a real good figure to me, at least in the YouTube community. And guys like Fomer Simpson, Indeed 317, Crispy Coyle, I feel like these guys keep it lighthearted. By the way, Crispy, rocking the Philly for you. But these guys keep it lighthearted and fun, and I enjoy every video that they put out. I wish that I could do some of the things that these guys do, but I've always been more of a introverted, thought-driven person as opposed to bringing the jokes, rapid-fire style, all that sort of thing. I mean, if I could, I would. I love comedy. But I just want to say, at the end of the day, I've made this message clear. Buy what you like. Don't pay an arm and a leg resale if you miss the shoe. Just wait. It'll come around. This whole game will come around. I know sometimes it hurts and sometimes it sucks, but I think at the end of the day, knowing that you made a conscious effort to not only better the game, but better yourself, as well as, at least from my personal perspective, I'd rather have the money to do something else. I can go have a good time with my friends, take a girl on a date, buy my brother a birthday present, etc., as opposed to spending double or triple the money for a pair of shoes that I don't even really need at this point. I mean, I've got enough shoes to last me probably the next 20, 30 years. My foot ain't growing. So I think just buy what you like, wear what you like, and don't worry about other people. Just focus on yourself. That's the biggest issue that I see. Focus on what you can control. And if you do that, I think everything else will come. Just keep the positivity going. Until next time, guys, appreciate everything. This video ran a little long, but take it easy. Peace.